He was the one person I swore I'd never fall for. But the first time he touched me, I froze. I didn't pull away. I COULDN, single quotes, to my hidden chronicles. Some people walk into your life at the worst possible moment, yet somehow feel like home. This is one of those stories. I met Ellis on a Thursday night. I hadn't even wanted to go out. My best friend, Micah, practically dragged me to this bar in Charleston. It was the kind of place where the lights were too dim, the music too loud, and everyone pretended not to care who was watching. I was only 2 months out of a breakup hand, not a calm, civilized kind. This was a full-blown, screaming, throwing things disaster. The kind that makes you question yourself even when you know you were right. So, yeah, I was angry at love, at myself, and especially at guys like him. You know the type, the tattoos, the effortless charm, and that smug smile that says he already knows exactly how the night will end. Ellis was exactly that. And I hated that I noticed him the second he walked in. Black t-shirt, ripped jeans, messy brown hair that looked like it hadn't been brushed in days, and somehow it just worked. He laughed too loud, like he didn't care who stared. He was surrounded by a crew that looked like a band, or maybe some chaotic queer art collective. He was magnetic, and it irritated me. I turned to Micah and muttered, "That guy. He is trouble. The kind who thinks he's deep because he reads Bukowski." Micah just laughed. "You sound jealous." "Jealous of what?" I snapped. "I've dated that type. He'll flirt with everyone, get bored in a week, then vanish." Micah just raised an eyebrow. "Sounds like you already know him." I didn't, but hating him felt safer. Later, we ended up side by side at the bar. I was agonizing over my drink order when he leaned in, way too close, and said, "You look like someone who overthinks their drink order." I didn't even glance at him. "And you look like someone who flirts with anything that moves." He laughed. "Only when I'm right." I finally looked over. He was already smiling, and somehow it wasn't a forced performance. It was effortless. That annoyed me even more. "I'm Ellis," he said, holding out his hand. I stared at it before shaking. Cam, he repeated, slowly, dragging it out. "Like camera." "Like Camden," I said flatly. "Well, Camden," he grinned, "you just became the most interesting part of my night." I rolled my eyes, but the small part of me I hate admitting exists loved hearing that. It felt good to be noticed, even by someone I swore I wouldn't like. We talked for an hour. I wish I could say it was dull. It wasn't. He was sharp, quick, and genuinely funny. He told stories like they were secrets meant only for you. And when he spoke, he didn't look past you. He looked at you. "I'm not really a relationship guy," he said at one point. "Cool," I answered too quickly. "Me either." It was a lie. "So what are you then?" he asked. I shrugged. "A recovering romantic," he laughed. "That sounds like a song title." "Maybe it is," I said, trying to sound mysterious. At some point, I stepped outside for air. A few minutes later, he followed. We sat on a concrete ledge, far enough from the noise to actually hear ourselves breathe. He asked what I was looking for. "Honestly, nothing," I said. "I'm not trying to feel anything right now." He looked at me, and in the quietest voice he said, "Sometimes the best things happen when you stop trying." Then he touched my hand. Not grabbing, just the faintest brush, like he wanted me to feel it before I even realized. I froze. I should have pulled away, cracked a joke, or said something cold, but I didn't, because in that exact second, I didn't want to stop him. The moment his hand grazed mine, I knew I was in trouble. Not because it felt wrong, but because it felt too right. Way too right. I slipped my hand back, slowly. Not a dramatic move, just enough so he'd notice. I didn't say a word. Ellis didn't apologize or try to cover it with a laugh. He just looked at me with this small, quiet smile, like he already knew I wasn't going anywhere. I should probably go, I muttered, standing up. He didn't stop me. He didn't follow. All he said was, "I'll be here next Thursday." And somehow, that was enough. One touch, one line, and suddenly he was in my head the whole week. I told myself I wasn't going back. I didn't need someone like him taking up space in my mind. But Thursday came, and somehow my body was already moving before my brain caught up. Micah didn't even bother asking. He just watched me get ready and said, "So, which black shirt are you wearing for, Ellis?" I shot him a look. It's not about him, I wanted to argue. I'm just dressing for the vibe of the bar. He smirked. I ignored him. But yeah, I wore the black shirt. Ellis was already there. Back corner, sipping something dark. Legs stretched like he owned the place. When he saw me, he didn't wave or stand. He just lifted his chin and smirked, like, "You came back, didn't you?" And I hated how much I loved that we didn't flirt that night. Not really. Instead, we talked for real. He told me about growing up in Mississippi, about a father who never quite understood him, about running away at 19 and living out of his car in Austin for 2 months. He talked about loneliness like it was an old roommate he still owed rent to. I told him about my ex. How he made me feel like I was too much, too emotional, too intense, too complicated. Ellis looked at me and said, "You're not too much. They just weren't enough." I swear, I almost kissed him right there. But I didn't. I didn't trust it. Didn't trust him. Didn't trust myself. I wasn't ready for something real. Or maybe I just didn't believe someone like him could want someone like me long enough for it to matter. The third Thursday, we kissed. I swear I didn't plan it. It was raining movie scene rain. He offered to walk me to my car. Halfway there, he said, "You keep looking at me like you want to say something." I froze. Maybe I do. And then he leaned in. No hesitation, no games, just soft, slow, electric lips on mine. His hands didn't wander. He wasn't trying to turn it into something cheap. It was just a kiss. But God, it was enough to wreck me. The next morning, I woke up thinking about him. Not just the kiss, but the way he felt, the way he looked at me like I mattered. Like I wasn't just another forgettable Thursday night. And that terrified me. So what did I do? I ghosted him. Yeah, I know. Coward move. I ignored his text. Then the next one. Then the "Are you okay?" message that twisted my stomach with guilt. Because I was okay. I just didn't want to be seen like that. Not when I didn't even understand why he wanted me at all. A week passed, then 2. And then I saw him again, by accident. Micah had dragged me to this little outdoor poetry reading. I was halfway through my coffee when I looked up, and there he was, Ellis, standing across the lawn, laughing with someone, until his eyes found mine. His smile dropped. He didn't wave, didn't walk over, just stared for a second, then looked away. It hit me harder than I thought it would, like a punch to the chest, because for the first time in years, I wanted to be wanted by someone, and I'd ruined it. That night, I texted him. I was scared. That's the truth. You made me feel something I didn't think I could feel again, and I ran. I didn't expect a reply, but 10 minutes later, he answered. I felt it, too. And I didn't run. You did. But if you show up Thursday, I'll be there. Thursday came, and yeah, I showed up, not dressed up. No cologne, no games, just me. Hoodie, sneakers, nervous as hell. I walked into that same little bar, the one that had somehow become ours, and scanned the back. He was there alone, drink in hand, looking like nothing had changed. Except everything had. He saw me, gave one small nod, no smile, and I understood. He was protecting himself now, the way I had. I slid into the booth across from him. Didn't say anything at first. Just sat there, trying not to look like my heart was about to break out of my chest. I didn't expect you to come, he finally said. I almost didn't. I took a breath. The way you kissed me. I haven't felt that in a long time, maybe ever. He looked away, like he didn't want me to see what that did to him. But I saw it. I freaked out, I admitted. I know, he said quietly. But why? I leaned back, staring at the ceiling. You ever get so used to being disappointed that you ruin good things just to stay in control? He looked right at me. Yeah, I've lived that life. The silence between us wasn't awkward, just heavy. Like we were both sitting with versions of ourselves we weren't proud of. And then he said it. You know, I didn't want to touch you that first night. I blinked. What? That night, I brushed your hand. It wasn't planned. I told myself I wasn't going to go there. I didn't want to be another mistake for you. I swallowed hard. You're not. And he looked at me, really looked at me, then stopped treating me like just another guy in your past. That hit hard because he was right. I'd put him in the same category as all the ones before, guys who lied, ghosted, took what they wanted, and disappeared. But Ellis wasn't like that. He didn't take, he waited. And that kind of patience is rare. I lowered my voice. I don't know how to let someone in. He leaned closer. You don't have to know how. You just have to try. And then he did something that cracked me open. He slid his phone across the table. On the screen was a photo. Ellis, maybe 18 or 19, standing in front of a beat-up truck, just a backpack on his shoulder and a crooked smile. That was the day I left home, he said. I had $40 in my pocket and a full tank of gas. No plan, just one rule. Never go back where I wasn't wanted. I looked at him, confused. So, he said, if you don't want me, tell me now. I'll walk. But if there's even the smallest chance you do, then stop running. I didn't know how to put what I felt into words, so I didn't. Instead, I stood, walked to his side of the booth, and sat next to him, close enough that our legs touched. And for the first time, I didn't pull away. Later that night, he walked me to my car again. Same spot, same sidewalk, same cool night air. But this time, he didn't kiss me. He just stood there, hands in his pockets, watching me, waiting for me to decide, so I did. I leaned in, kissed him, slow, deep, and honest. When we pulled apart, I whispered, I don't want you to go. He smiled. Then say that next time before you disappear. Here's the twist I never saw coming. I invited him over that night. Not for sex, not for anything physical, just to be there. We ordered takeout, sat on my couch, and talked about dumb things. Serious things, music, exes, how he takes his coffee, how I still sleep with a fan on even in winter. At some point, I fell asleep with my head on his chest, and when I woke up 2 hours later, he was still there. His arm was wrapped around me, breathing slow. He could have left, but he didn't. He just stayed, held me like I was worth holding. And for the first time in years, I believed I was. The next morning, I woke to sunlight on my face. Ellis was still next to me, not glued to me, just there, one arm folded under his head. For a moment, I just stared at the little scar on his chin, the steady rise and fall of his chest. He looked so peaceful, like being next to me wasn't a burden at all. That's when it hit me. I wasn't afraid of him. I was afraid of what it would mean if someone actually stayed. He shifted, a little, eyes still closed. You watching me sleep? I rolled my eyes, smiling. You wish. He cracked one eye open. I kind of do. I laughed, and it felt real, like the first deep breath after holding it too long. We stayed in bed for a while. No rush, no plans, just existing together. Eventually, I sat up and stretched. Ellis glanced over, groggy and unfairly cute. Did I ever tell you that you look good in the morning? He murmured. No, I smirked, but I'll allow it. He leaned in and kissed my shoulder, gentle, unhurried, warm. No agenda, just affection. And somehow, that simple touch hit me harder than anything else ever could. The whole day carried that same quiet magic. We tried to make breakfast, ruined the eggs, but called it food anyway. We watched silly videos, sprawled out on the floor, talking about nothing and everything. At some point, I reached over and took his hand. He looked at me, waiting. All I managed to say was, I'm not used to this. He squeezed my hand. That's okay. I am. That night, we went back to his place. I was nervous, the kind of nervous you feel in your bones. Not because of what might happen, but because it actually mattered now. This wasn't just passing time. This was me choosing him when he kissed me again in his kitchen. With one hand in my hair and the other on my waist, I didn't pull back. I leaned in. I let myself sink into it. I let myself feel everything. When he whispered, "You sure?" I nodded. Yeah, I don't want to run this time. What happened after that? I won't spell out. That's not the story I'm telling. What I will say is this: it wasn't about the physical. It was about trust, about finally letting someone see me, truly see me, and not look away. Later, lying together in the dark, his fingers gently tracing mine, I realized I wasn't afraid. I wasn't ashamed. I felt safe. I looked at him and said something I hadn't said in years. You feel like home. He didn't answer with words. He just kissed me, slow and certain, and held me tighter. That was enough. A few days later, it hit me like a wave I never saw coming. Ellis was in my kitchen, making coffee, humming some ridiculous tune. I sat there, pretending to scroll on my phone. But inside my head, one thought kept repeating, I don't want to lose this. And right after came the one I dreaded most. What if I do? I'd felt it before, that quiet panic that sneaks in the moment something starts to feel good. That fear that the second you care, life will find a way to take it from you. So, I did what I always do when things get too real. I pulled away. I stopped texting first, stopped saying good morning, started brushing him off when he kissed me too long. Of course, he noticed. He's not stupid. That night, he sat across from me on the couch, completely quiet, eyes searching mine like he was carefully picking his words. Then finally, he asked, "Did I do something?" I shook my head. "No, you're fine." He let out a slow sigh. "You're pulling back." "I'm just tired," I lied. He leaned forward, his voice softer now. "You're scared." Just hearing it out loud cracked something in me. "You think I don't see you?" he asked. "You think I don't know what this is?" My throat tightened. What is it?" He looked at me like he was holding himself back. "Us. You're trying to act like it doesn't mean anything so you won't have to face it if it goes wrong." My chest felt heavy. "You don't know what I've been through." He nodded. "You're right. I don't, but I know what I see when I look at you." I couldn't hold it anymore. I've loved before, and it blew up in my face. People leave. They promise they won't, and then they do. I don't want to be someone you get tired of. I don't want to drop my guard and end up standing here alone looking stupid. My voice cracked. I hated how raw it sounded. Then Ellis did something I didn't expect. He crossed the room, sat down beside me, and took my hand. Not to fix me, not to push, just gentle, steady, present. And he said, "I'm not asking you to believe in forever, just today." I went quiet, really looking at him. I didn't see someone trying to trap me. I saw someone trying to stay. I leaned my forehead against his shoulder and whispered, "I don't know how to do this." He kissed my temple. "That's okay. We'll figure it out together." That night wasn't dramatic or movie perfect. It was just two people lying in bed, facing each other, breathing the same air. No promises, no pressure, just presence. And somewhere in the middle of that, I realized I didn't hate him. I never really hated him. What scared me was how he made me feel seen. That was the part I didn't know how to handle. We didn't magically become perfect overnight. There were still days when I pulled away, moments when I went quiet instead of saying what was in my heart. But Ellis never asked me to be anything other than myself. He didn't try to fix me. He just stayed. Weeks later, one morning, I woke up to the familiar smell of coffee. Same kitchen, same mug, same quiet rhythm. But this time, something felt different. I stood in the doorway, watching him move around like he belonged there because he did. And that's when I realized love doesn't always arrive with fire or heartbreak. Sometimes it's simply someone choosing to show up again and again when they don't have to. He caught my eyes and smiled, sleepy and soft. "Want toast?" he asked. I nodded. "Yeah, and maybe you," he laughed, shaking his head. "That's cheesy as hell." I shrugged. "So what? I like cheesy now." That's the part nobody tells you. The best pieces of love often come after the fear, after the fights, after all the pulling back and pushing forward. Real love isn't just sparks and passion. It's what remains when the sparks fade. It's choosing each other, even when it's messy, even when it's scary, even when you don't fully know how. Months later, we're still here. He still hums that ridiculous tune every morning. I still roll my eyes. But sometimes, when I catch him looking at me like he can't believe I'm real, I stop whatever I'm doing. I walk over. I let him hold me without pulling away. Because now I understand. I never tried to hate him. I was only trying to protect myself from loving him too much. But that didn't work. He reached me in ways no one else ever had. Not just skin, not just body. He touched the parts of me I'd hidden for years. And I let him. Because sometimes the bravest thing you'll ever do is stay when it's good. Thanks for listening to this story on Gay Hidden Chronicles. If it touched you, made you feel something, or reminded you you're not alone, tap like, leave a comment, and hit subscribe for more raw, real stories every week. We're not just telling stories. We're building a space where people like us feel seen. See you in the next one.